early morning hours, tragedy struck.
The tornado destroyed my house and my parents are trapped.
24 people died and hundreds of homes and businesses were destroyed across Middle Tennessee.
This hurts even like this. I feel so sorry for the people that lose their lives over it.
6 months after the deadly tornadoes, much still needs to be done as people work to put their lives back together in the face of a pandemic. Tonight, News 4 highlights how Tennessee is rebuilding and honors the hard work and resiliency of our community. News 4 at 6 starts now.
Well, thanks for joining us on air and streaming live on our News 4 app. We are marking an important anniversary tonight. I'm Tom Randles at the News 4 Nashville studios.
And I'm Tracy Cornett, live in Germantown tonight. Just one of the communities where 6 months ago, feelings of shock, sadness, fear, and loss were felt literally in the streets behind me as you walk through these neighborhoods. Tonight, we still have some residual feelings that remain. It's scars of that traumatic night, like this one here at the O'Reilly Auto Parts, right here at Rosa Parks and Monroe, just a couple of 100 feet away from downtown Nashville and our skyline. But you can also see signs of resilience, of healing, of rebuilding in this area. Tonight, we are bringing those stories to you. We have complete coverage this evening. Our crews all across Middle Tennessee, Alexandria Adams in East Nashville, Carice Jackman in Mount Juliet, Terry Bulger in North Nashville, and Nancy Amons is in Putnam County tonight. One of the hardest hit areas in the mid-state, suffered the most deaths. We're going to hear from her coming up at 6:30. But we begin tonight with Jeremy Finley. Jeremy, several of the 7 Nashville churches destroyed in this outbreak, which that alone is difficult to even say out loud, still have not even begun the rebuilding process. But Jeremy, I understand you have a story of empowering hope that you will share with us tonight here as we begin our 6 o'clock news.
Yeah, Tracy, people might be surprised to see what we're about to show you. Take a look at this. Even though it has been 6 months since the tornado, look at all of the debris that still covers the sidewalk outside the Mount Bethel Missionary Baptist Church. Construction here has not yet begun. Now take a look from Drone 4, and you can see that half the roof on this church is still missing. That means every time that it rains, the conditions here get worse and worse. Now, even though there is a great deal of frustration, the faithful here have found a way to still keep their faith. The bricks are missing. The steeple is gone. The congregation split from their house of worship.
These bricks are the centerpiece of this community.
Pastor Derek Moore doesn't sugarcoat it. His more than 150-year-old church is still in ruins. What's it like to see it in this condition?
Well, it's certainly disheartening.
With wires still down and only weeds standing instead of parishioners, Pastor Jaquez Boyd's church is also just as it was 6 months ago.
After the tornado came 6 months ago, we were immediately hit with the pandemic that just slowed down all progress. It just becomes worse and worse.
But when the present looks bleak, the faithful know to look to the teachings of the past, a not-so-distant past, 6 months ago today, in fact, when a congregation in this neighborhood, standing in the rubble of their church, live on our 5 o'clock news, spontaneously broke into song. That moment has become a kind of new cornerstone for this faith community, a reminder that these are just buildings, their churches still standing strong, and their people.
And even though these physical doors are closed, our church is always open.
All right, we can show you that shot again from Drone 4, and it again really shows the reality of this situation. More than $16 million in damages at these 7 churches. The churches we spoke with have insurance, but it will not cover all the costs, including hiring people to oversee all the construction. So that means that they will do what they have continued to do since this tornado. They're holding their congregations and their prayer services online, still raising money just as they always have. But as we've also shown you in this story, the two churches that we profiled, they have not given up their faith, and they hope to begin construction in the next month. Tracy?
Jeremy Finley, thank you so very much. And of course, another challenge is, of course, keeping those churches going just through this COVID pandemic. You see this pile of rubble beside me. Yes, it's evidence of some cleanup and rebuilding here in Germantown. We want to take you back up in the sky with Drone 4 to show you over the city earlier today how recovery efforts there are looking. 6 months ago now, we compare on the other side of your screen, showing the widespread devastation, so you can see the difference there in this 6 months. East Nashville also taking a bad hit in all of this from that severe weather on that March day. Drone 4 also over that area today. Again, on one side, you see the immediate aftermath of the tornado, and on the other side, how things are looking now. Clearly, much still needs to be done. And News 4's Alexandra Adams tonight shows us what the recovery process looks like and what it's been like for two particular business owners in that area.
This is what's left of the clothing boutique Molly Green, just a little bit of the foundation. It's just one of the businesses in the area that is showing no signs of returning anytime soon.
Obviously, you never think that's going to happen to you.
But it did. This is the Molly Green store in East Nashville before the tornado. This is the aftermath. And today, just gravel lays in its place. Can you believe it's been 6 months?
I can't, because it feels like an eternity ago. It feels like we live in a different world now.
The same sentiments are felt by Edley's barbecue owner Will Newman.
It feels like a lifetime ago. To think it's only been 6 months is wild.
Newman's East Nashville location was able to reopen, but says the business is just not the same.
Downtown does play, a really big part on the economy for East Nashville.
Without customers coming in because of the pandemic, both business owners believe it could be a roadblock for other shops.
The businesses who might have already been back to thriving haven't had the opportunity with tourism.
Hartwell says there is one thing about her East Nashville store she misses the most.
Just all the relationships. That's what you go back to. What I go back to is just the relationships we're missing and the people we don't see as often. Because, you wake up one day and you've lost a business. You wake up the next day and this crazy things happen. And really, every day we should be grateful for what we have.
Hartwell says she plans to bring Molly Green back to East Nashville at some point. For now, you can visit their other locations in the Nashville area. Reporting for News 4 Nashville, I'm Alexandra Adams.
Alexandria, thanks so much. And as devastating as that area has felt here in light of the tornadoes and the aftermath, that was not the first time that East Nashville area was hit. Focus in on this I Believe in Nashville mural. I know we've talked about this a bunch here on News 4 and showing you this as a glimmer of hope and resilience here. That mural left standing. But take a look at the other images. They show the very same venue, not from March though, folks. These are images from 1998 when another tornado hit that very same place. Here are those pictures and video from back in March. Again, you can see the damage looks almost identical. So it is certainly hard to believe that track, isn't it? Not the first time that a tornado hit the mid-state like this. Another one touched down, followed almost that exact same path in the 90s. And our chief meteorologist, Lisa Spencer, certainly remembers that and has a track of exactly what happened there. Lisa.
It really is amazing, the comparison all those years later. We take a look here. This yellow line representing where our tornado for 2020 came right in to Davidson County, continued across Wilson County, made its way through Nashville. Let's get a little closer here, and you'll see it right through there, going through the heart of the town. And then we take you back to 1998, and you can see it in Davidson County, downtown Nashville, and then continuing up through Wilson County, and a little closer look through Nashville, just north of Mount Juliet. But put this line and the latest line together, and you'll find that they come very, very close, with that particular storm now coming very close to where we had that last one. So incredible comparison to what happened in 1998.
Lisa Spencer, thank you so very much. And our Rebuilding Tennessee coverage continues on this Thursday evening. It is a lovely night out here, as you can see behind me. Coming up in the next few minutes, we're going to take you out to North Nashville and also to Mount Juliet to share stories from those communities. So live in Germantown this evening, I'm Tracy Cornett. Tom, we will toss it back to you in the studio.
All right, Tracy, we'll see you again in just a little bit. Now to coronavirus coverage and an important update right now, improving situation in Nashville to tell you about. City officials say we're seeing the lowest number of active cases in Davidson County since May. Right now, there are just over 1,200 of those. They also say the transmission rate is at its lowest level since the pandemic started. Despite all of this, city officials say it's no time to stop being careful.
But the threat of the virus is still very real. Everyone has a responsibility to maintain healthy habits. We have to protect both lives and jobs. Now, our number one problem is quitting on the job of social distancing. That's why we are increasing enforcement and awareness to prevent a relapse.
Mayor Cooper says several city departments, including police, codes, the fire department, and others, are enforcing mask mandates around the city, including downtown, Midtown, Opryland, and the Glencliff neighborhood. Tonight, we are working for you, getting all of your Metro school questions answered, everything from when we can expect in-person learning to begin again, sports, and what's being done to make sure every student has a working computer. News 4 Investigates Lindsey Bramson sat down with the director of Metro Schools where nothing was off limits.
Dr. Battle, again, thank you for taking the time to sit down this morning and just talk with me. And
there was a lot to ask Dr. Adrian Battle, specifically when it came down to resources for the thousands of students who can't afford working computers.
Are you aware that there are students who don't have laptops?
We have continued to provide devices to students and families who have identified a need without any questions asked.
But News 4 Investigates introduced you earlier this week to Jocelyn Starnes, who says it took nearly 2 weeks for her son to get a working laptop.
Is there anything more you can do as the director of schools to make sure that every kid who needs a laptop has one? Because right now they don't.
Well, and I'll say this, we've had points in times where we've had 0 requests for laptops and hotspots. But as those needs arise, we're going to continue to meet the needs of our families.
While parents tell us resources have been a major issue, some also say they want their kids back in the classroom and back out on the playing fields. Dr. Battle says the plan is to have in-person learning begin in October and sports to start back up then too.
There should be some alignment with extracurricular or athletics resuming.
Despite parent surveys showing the majority wanted their kids back in the classroom, Dr. Battle says due to COVID numbers at the time, she felt all virtual learning was the safest decision, a decision she stands behind today.
We will be engaging in further feedback from our families as we're moving forward so that they can make an even more informed decision with regards to our phase-in approach.
We also asked about enrollment numbers and the number of students not logging on to their computers, which right now is just over 1,400, a number we plan to stay on top of to see if it changes. I'm Lindsey Bramson, News 4 Nashville.
Lindsey, thanks. Meanwhile, we're learning state officials will begin reporting COVID-19 case data by district and by school. The case numbers will be reported on an online dashboard that will show new student and staff cases by week. The dashboard will also say whether a district has a plan in place in case there's an outbreak. Schools with 50 students or fewer will not be included. It was one of the most remarkable stories from the March tornado outbreak. A man rushes to alert his neighbors to the impending danger, putting his own life at risk. We're going to check in with him on what his life has been like since his heroic act. Plus, Meharry Medical College has a lot more money in the bank tonight after a huge donation. What the school will do with the $34 million donation when News 4 at 6 continues.
I'm Tracy Cornett, live in Germantown tonight. It is video that went viral and shows the true character of a person during a terrifying moment. A Mount Juliet man rushing to his fellow neighbor to warn him of a tornado coming his way. News 4 was there, talked to that man 6 months ago, and tonight, News 4's Carice Jackman revisits him again.
If a twister was headed your way, your instincts would tell you to get in a basement or a bathroom. No questions asked. Lee Shan in Mount Juliet did that too, But after he did this, with lightning flashing around him, he woke up his neighbors.
Till this day, I don't know whether it was brave or stupid. But
News 4 first introduced you to Shan days after the storm hit, when his son sent us this video showing his dad's selfless act. Shan remembers it like it was yesterday.
And I could see flashes going off over here behind me, which was not lightning, it was power lines being taken down.
Instantly, he remembered his neighbor Arlo and his newborn baby.
To go.
It's what drove him to run outside, straight to their house across the street.
I knocked on their door. They then ran next door to knock on their neighbor's door. I then went to my neighbor to my left here, knocked on their door.
He ran back to his house and took cover.
By the time I got back into the house and closed the bathroom door, that's our safe spot, as our downstairs bathroom. There was a terrific noise, a rush of air that we felt under the door, and all the lights went out.
Shan's neighborly efforts went viral. Everyone around him showed their gratitude.
Everyone at work saw this thing, so the reception from work was fantastic. I was put on the internal website at work, and there was people calling me a hero at work.
But he doesn't see himself that way.
Heroes are the people that go fight COVID or go get shot at every day for a country, or the police or the fire service or the ambulance people, right? I just did what I thought was right.
And since that night, Shan says his relationship and bond with his neighbors has only blossomed. It's a day and an experience none of them will ever forget. I'm Carice Jackman, News 4 Nashville.
Thank you, Carice, and so nice to hear about the silver lining. The fury of the EF3 that tore through Nashville was especially felt in North Nashville. That community continuing to rebuild tonight. As News 4's Terry Bolger shows us, some of that work is being done by those with a whole lot of love for their neighbors and their community.
6 months later in North Nashville, and the work still goes on. Outside, the recovering is obvious. Fresh paint heals the exterior. But it's what's happening inside that heals the soul.
There's the meals. Okay, 5, 10.
Filling boxes with helpings of hope.
15.
Potatoes and apples, too.
Compounded with the COVID, some of them don't have transportation. So we bring the meals to them because some of them are going to days without eating.
Today, BLTs from Project Connect. An all-hands-on helper for years.
We do have a mop. Somebody donated yesterday. Hey.
Since the tornado, Juanita Thomas has helped people get back on their feet.
You'll be okay. You'll be okay. You'll be okay.
The tornado and COVID-19 are the problem.
All right. Now, what's your name here?
Her love of neighborhood, the solution.
I live in this community. I was raised in this community, and I just feel the people in this community, and I see the need here.
Trash bags, paper towel, toilet paper.
We've come a long way, and we got a long way to go. We have.
Terry Bolger, News 4, Nashville.
Terry, thank you so much. And our Rebuilding Tennessee 6 months later coverage does not end here. Coming up at 6:30, we're going to take you out to Putnam County. That is the area that saw the largest death toll as the tornadoes whipped through this region. So we'll bring you those stories in just a few moments. Tom, for now, I'm live in Germantown. I'll toss it back to you in the studio.
Still hard to believe all that rubble's behind you there, Tracy. Tracy, thanks so much. Tonight, a big gift for Meharry Medical College from former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg. The school is getting $34 million from Bloomberg Philanthropies. The school's president says the money will go toward reducing student debt. About 280 medical students will be eligible for a scholarship funded by the money. This is the biggest donation in the school's 144-year history. Bloomberg Philanthropies donated a total of $100 million to 4 historically black colleges and universities all across the nation.
Now, your forewarned weather, certified Nashville's most accurate.
We are tracking storms again today, not nearly as numerous, but we still have a few out this evening that a front approach is bringing about some change. That change is going to come cooler air and less humidity in that air. Looking nice. Hey, I wanted to show you this again. I was afraid you couldn't see it very well a few moments ago, but this is the 1998 path of that tornado. This is the 2020 path. You can see how similar they were in the way they moved through the Nashville area. Here's our view out. Oh, that's a good looking sunset tonight. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? 85 degrees is where we are right now. 90 is the feels like temperature right now. And all across the mid-state, we are looking at a few showers and thunder showers. We've got some moving in from the west here. This is almost like yesterday. They're hugging along 40 and also east out 40 as well. A little closer look here. You see that rain around Parsons over to Lobelville. And we've got showers here around Sparta and continuing to head your way. If you are in Crossville right now, you see more of those a little farther off to the north at this point. But going through time, we're going to see this continue to push towards the south tonight, moving right on out, setting us up for a drier evening. And again, I'm not expecting for the storms to be as severe as they've been for the past few days this week. It's mainly to the east where we're going to see those thunderstorms. And then by morning time, this is the front coming through. Did you notice those milder temperatures in the morning? Well, here's that front dropping down to the south. That's going to usher in that cooler and drier air. Really nice coming up for tomorrow afternoon. Continuing through Saturday, looking very, very good here. Afternoon highs only in the mid-80s coming up for Saturday. And you know what this is, of course, the long holiday weekend, so perfect timing. Our weak front coming through, only a slight chance of showers coming up tomorrow, 85 the high. Mid-80s again on Saturday, gorgeous again on Sunday, lower humidity, but we'll start to feel that humidity creeping back in late Sunday into Monday, and Tuesday, another hot one. These showers start to return Wednesday and Thursday of next week. We'll be right back.
New at 6, people touching down at BNA, once again, going to be treated to live music. Now, the airport tweeting today that there will be live music at the airport on Friday and Sunday afternoons starting tomorrow. Performers will be socially distancing and will wear masks when they're not singing. We're back right after this. We continue to honor our classroom heroes, sponsored by Bart Durham Injury Law. This is Mr. Richardson, teaches 5th grade at Cox Middle School in Columbia, Tennessee. Thank you for all you do. Who's your classroom hero? Be sure to send us a picture on our News4 app. We're back right after this.